Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of our Engineering for the New Reality podcast series. As businesses and manufacturing plants open up for work, some of the things that would probably be at the top of everyone's mind would be, how do I create a safe environment for my people to work in? How can I effectively do workplace transformation? Or how can I have better control over my facility operations? Our solutions team thought about this long and hard, and they came up with something that checks all the boxes when it comes to workplace transformation. I'm talking about the LTTS iBEMS, Integrated Building Experience Management. To give us a deeper insight into this, I have with me our platform and solutions head, Srinath Nagarur. Hi Srinath, welcome to the podcast. How's it going?
Pretty good, Akshay. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So Srinath, in this new normal, how will safety at our workplaces change?
So, Akshay, with the recent turn of events, the definition of safety has undergone a paradigm shift. So, that's the first thing. See, safety has always been of great importance in a workplace environment, right? And security surveillance has gone through so much of transformation over the years. I mean, if you look at it 10 years ago, it was a luxury to have a CCTV system, and today it's become a norm, right? But a lot of the security and surveillance systems have been to protect you from external threats. It's to create certain kind of an environment and stuff like that. Today, with the turn of events, the threat is no longer restricted to an outside entity, right? It is now a function of human behavior and their respective interactions. So safety has a new meaning in the new turn of events.
And what are the ramifications should businesses not institute safety as a key process in their operations?
See, ramifications are going to be twofold, right? The first ramification, let's possibly take a step back. Let's look at why does safety need to be implemented, right, in a workplace today. So number one is for the benefit of an employee. You have to provide a healthy and a safe workplace for an employee, for the well-being of the employee, because it means to some extent it means life and death, right, for employees. So that is number one. Number two, because of the extent or because of the magnanimity of the ramifications that are there with whatever is happening with the current turn of events. There are going to be specific norms that are going to be defined by governing authorities. It's very important that these norms are going to be followed by organizations, just because these are pretty much going to become standards as we move forward. So the ramifications are going to be, one, from the perspective of providing a safe and a healthy environment for your employees and their well-being. If not done, obviously you will lose your workforce. And second is to meet standards that are defined by governing authorities.
So Srinath, a lot of us get confused about this. What would safety mean for organizations in the short term and long term? Is it just going to be about social distancing and enhanced screening of the workforce, or is there a much bigger play here?
See, I think let's kind of break this up into two parts, right? So the foremost important thing for every organization is to return to normalcy. Okay, every organization wants to come back to normalcy, and when I say normalcy, it is basically to get back to the state they were in prior, to the COVID situation. So that is the first focus for any organization. Now, if they have to bring their entire workforce to normalcy, the most important challenge that they have is obviously temperature screening and social distancing, right? So these are the two most critical factors that are really stopping organizations to get back to their normalcy. Now, that is the first part that all organizations are literally in a rush to get things done. So today, in any conversations that we have with our customers, they are constantly asking us, how do you get us back into the workplace and how quickly can you get us back into the workplace? But this is only a part of the problem, right? See, because with this incident, there is going to be a transformation of how people are going to be working even in the long term. You're only solving the short-term problem with temperature measurement and social distancing, but look at the ramifications from a long-term perspective, where what happens when this particular issue is resolved, right? How does organizations behave? How do their employees behave? And all these aspects are going to go through a transformation in what we would, possibly look at as a workplace transformation.
So, Srinath, based on your conversation with customers, what would be the new normal in workplace operations going ahead? How will businesses and facility managers do things differently?
See, one of the challenges that facility managers are facing, at least based on the conversations that I've had, based on the discussions I've had with industry folks or industry associations or even with customers, is they do not have or they don't seem to have control on the different aspects of a facility, right? So if you look at it, at the end of the day, when you're managing a facility which is going to house, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people, the facility manager's fundamental focus prior to the COVID situation was predominantly to focus on handling your, uptime of your equipments, like whether it is your elevators or whether it is your HVAC, whether it is your servers, whether it is your networks. So their focus was entirely non-human intrusive in a way. In the new normal, they also need to have a fairly good sense of how people are behaving in the facility. So there is a new mix to the complexity, which is human behavior. And the biggest challenge that facility managers are facing today, how do we get an integrated view of how the facilities, which is your equipment and other infrastructure that's operating in a facility, operating in conjunction with how humans are behaving inside the same facility. So they don't have a single world view of this today. And this is something that they are all, trying to solve. And obviously, the solutions that are out there are very point solutions. There are solutions that are providing individuals with an option to measure temperature, or there are solutions that are providing individuals with an option to, manage social distancing. But there is no integrated view that a facility manager has of how a complete workplace behaves in conjunction with everything that happens in the workplace.
So, Srinath, let's talk a little bit about iBEM Shield. What is iBEM Shield? Why is it the most suitable solution to ensure health and safety at workplaces?
See, I'll talk about iBEMS Shield in a bit, but let me kind of give you a little bit of background about iBEMS. iBEMS, which stands for Integrated Building Experience Management System, and this is a LTTS flagship platform that's been focused on revolutionizing the smart building segment, right, over the last, I would say, about 4 years. And with the demography of workforce changing, what has happened in the industry or what has happened in the workplace is organizations have been exploring new ways of, number one, enticing, leveraging, and more importantly, retaining talent. And what organizations have started believing, and there are studies to establish this, is that smart buildings is one of the key enablers to drive this, right? So when LTTS as an organization decided to invest in products and technologies, this was one of the most obvious product and platform that we decided to focus on to take into the market. As we were expanding our footprint into the smart building market, we kind of got caught up in this pandemic, and we went back to the drawing board, right? So we were helping organizations in creating a smart workplace or a smart workspace. We said, in the new normal, how will a workplace transform? Are we going to become a discretionary spend for a customer, or do we have the ability to repurpose our platform to meet the need in this transformation journey? So we went back to the drawing board, the product architects, the product management team, and some of the senior leaders, and we started looking at the possibilities to explore whether iBEMS, with its core philosophy, can it be transitioned from being a platform that is driving smart workplace, safe workplace, right? And the transition of that discussion, or the transition of iBEMS, actually led us to the position of building this module called iBEMS Shield. And this was essentially built as a package that was going to help organizations, number one, get back to a safe workplace, right? And that's how the packaging was done, and that's how the modules were reconstructed, and the platform was reorganized, if I may, to kind of make it modular and drive a back to safe workplace kind of a scenario. Why iBEMS Shield, and in turn iBEMS, is the most suitable solution for a large workplace. See, first of all, iBEMS Shield is not a point solution which is similar to what is available in the market. See, today when we go to talk to our customers, the first thing that we hear from them is, hey, I have been bombarded with hundreds of calls. I've been bombarded with different stories in the market about temperature measurement, about different kind of thermal cameras, and so on and so forth. And first thing, we start off saying that we are not a point solution, right? We are focused on helping you to get back to a safer workplace, but we are not restricted to just thermal cameras. We are looking at your workplace challenge beyond just entering a workplace. It is also about your workplace behavior, your human behavior, and so on and so forth. So iBEMS as a platform is just not restricted to one functionality. It can transcend into other areas, which you can leverage for larger term and longer term implementation.
So Srinath, let's talk a little bit about the iBEMS platform. You spoke earlier about companies wanting a single worldview of all their facility operations, right? So what are the other features of iBEMS outside of the Shield package that can help companies create a full-fledged smart workplace?
So Akshay, just to kind of take a step back and give you a little bit of background of iBEMS as a platform, right? iBEMS as a platform was built with the intent of creating a system of systems approach. Today, if you look at any facility, a facility has three different entities. You have the brick and mortar, which is structure, and second is your building systems, and third is your IT systems, right? Now, at the center of all this is a user who's experiencing the different elements of a building, who's experiencing different aspects of IT to deliver whatever that individual has to deliver. So iBEMS, essentially leveraging AI and ML at the base, was created as a system of systems platform that is going to have a cross-functional leverage of all these systems working hand in hand to provide a unique experience to the user. That's why we call it a smart building, or a smart facility, or whatever you want to call it, right? Now, what did we try to do as a part of the smart facility? So essentially, we were trying to leverage energy footprint of a building. How does a user experience, let's say, a meeting room? How does a user experience a cafeteria? So there are different aspects of a facility that we were trying to automate with the help of iBEMS. So when you look at iBEMS, one of the core tenets of iBEMS is experience. Okay. Now, if you look at an organization, or if you look at a workplace, there are three entities who are actually experiencing what we have to offer as a platform. Number one is your facilities leader, the person who's managing the entire facilities. The second is the user who's experiencing this facility. And the third is the business, right? The business who is actually running this entire thing. Now, if you look at it, the value that iBEMS is delivering to a facility is essentially, what we're talking about is a single worldview, right? Of everything that's happening in the facility, right from your building management systems, which is your HVAC and AC and lighting and elevators and so on and so forth, but also an integrated view of your systems and your critical assets and things like that. and also your entire workplace itself, right? So that is the first one that the facilities person or facilities leader is getting. From a user perspective, it's the experience that a user goes through, right? When you are actually walking into the facility that has iBEMS at its core. From a business perspective, I alluded to that earlier as well. You are essentially, the business is going to experience increased productivity of their employees, ability to have better retention of employees. Then they are also going to be looking at doing a fair amount of cost savings because of the analytics and the automation that is provided as a part of the solution. And not to mention, the talk conversation I had early on about compliance, right? With regards to how organizations are going to be transforming in the newer workplace. Now, with these three people experiencing, iBEMS has been created with that as a backbone. Now, let us look at the areas which are going to get impacted, with this post pandemic. There is obviously going to be a fair amount of emphasis of common areas of usage. So what are the common areas of usage? Number one is cafeteria. So there is going to be a new transformed cafeteria, right? In terms of the management of cafeteria, there is going to be a new way visitors are going to be handled, or lobbies are going to be handled, and the more important, how the facility is going to be dealt with going forward, right? There is going to be optimization of workplace. There is going to be hot desking that's going to happen. There is going to be a lot of automation that's going to be happening around conferencing. Now, all these elements are going to be brought under one umbrella, leveraging iBEMS. And that's what we're going to be bringing as an extension to what we will be able to provide, with Shield, when we are saying, okay, this is how we're going to get you back to workplace, but this is how we're going to help you transform, your workplace.
And Srinath, if there's one thing that this situation has taught us, it is the need to be agile and to respond and adapt to unforeseen situations very rapidly. So, from a scalability and flexibility perspective, what does iBEMS offer for businesses?
At the core, iBEMS is a platform that's both flexible and scalable. iBEMS works on the same principle, which is very similar to an IoT platform. Okay, it picks data from southbound connected devices, and this could essentially include your sensors, IP devices, or even soft interfaces. And it does the processing at the edge and eventually in the cloud, leveraging its patented and proprietary algorithms and tools, and then provides a dashboard that basically provides actionable insights and a plethora of viewpoints of how a facility is working, operating, and is being managed. So there's obviously tremendous innovation that's happening in the device and sensor area, and every new situation happening around us is going to drive newer possibilities for technology innovation. So irrespective of the kind of use cases these sensors are being built for, with iBEMS, a client will have the ability to bring in this data into a common pool to drive both analytics and also provide actionable insights to its end user. And we talked about the three different entities that are benefiting at a whole. So this is exactly how we are able to respond very swiftly in the larger scheme of things. And this is exactly how we did respond in repurposing the platform for the current situation as well, very effectively. And we spoke about how we got back to the drawing board to relook at some of the elements that we already had created with iBEMS. So we will continue to innovate at a platform level, and the fundamental focus will be to ensure that we enable the platform to respond very fast to both integration and scalability needs. That is based on the requirements of the context, the situation, and what the client needs to get done in the long term.
Thanks so much, Srinath. That was an absolutely fascinating perspective on workplace transformation and LTTS iBEMS. And if you want to know more about our iBEMS platform, do visit our website at www.ltts.com. Thank you and have a wonderful day.